All right, GT Sports presents the Universal Sports Podcast. It's Monday afternoon. I'm your host, Gabriel Trevino. I'm coming to you here this afternoon. It's going to be a little short podcast. We're just going to kind of recap. I'm going to recap the NFL divisional round playoffs. It took place 2 games on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. I'm real disappointed, man. My Dallas Cowboys lost, but I'll talk a little bit about the Cowboys. I'll definitely leave that game to talk about toward the end, as I've got a lot to say about those Dallas Cowboys. Another disappointing year. Well, not year necessarily disappointing, but definitely not able to advance to the next round when I thought we had a really good chance. But I'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But definitely want to talk about the other 3 games as well. And then also, I'll just kind of give a little results, kind of touch up a little bit. We had the UFC 283, some really good fights. I know Brandon Moreno won. I like this kid, but I'll just kind of recap just the main event. I think there were 5 fights. I'll just kind of tell you who won as we're starting to get back into the UFC, these big fights, and kind of start breaking them down, previewing them and breaking them down like we were a few months ago. I'm going to get back to that as well. So we'll be talking sports here every day. I'll come on about 30 minutes, 20 minutes or so, and I'll just kind of talk about what's going on in the world of professional and college sports, right? So this podcast here, we mainly just talk about pro sports and college sports. And so, we can talk baseball, softball, we can talk MLB, NBA, NFL, obviously, we can talk golf, we can talk UFC, boxing. I mean, whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about. If you got anything you want to add to this, the comment section, it'll just be audio, but it'll be uploaded to the Universal Sports YouTube channel, and then you can also catch it on the Universal Facebook and Twitter page. You can also hear it on Anchor and Spotify. So it'll just be audio, but you can definitely catch on. I'd like to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree with what I'm saying here, if you disagree, let me know why you disagree, man. I'd definitely like to go into a little conversation with you, maybe even debate, as I continue to put this all together here and take my notes. I got to get on a really good schedule because I've got other things I've got to do as well, other podcasts. And of course, I got my job, but I'm going to really work hard on trying to make sure that I'm updated with everything that is going on. So that when I come on here daily, I have at least the top things that are going on, and then I'll be able to kind of talk about them and kind of hopefully get your feedback on what you guys think about what I'm saying here on this podcast. So again, this is just a Universal Sports podcast. It'll always be a short podcast pretty much, unless I have somebody on the podcast, and it may go 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Other than that, it'll be kind of short, and I'll just be talking about a few things on a daily basis that are going on in the world of sports. We'll now turn it over to the NFL, the divisional roundup. Man, there were some really good games on this past week and some surprises for me. I'll also tell you how well I did on my picks. I made a prediction for all 4 of these games. And I'll start off with the Saturday game, the first one that was played. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling up to Kansas City to play the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and those fellas. And the Chiefs get that win 27-20. It was a lot closer. Well, I kind of thought it would be close. I picked the Chiefs to win. I just felt that Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, these guys have been in these big games before. I felt like it was going not too much pressure on these guys playing at home with that crowd. It gets really loud there in KC. So I just felt all those things going. I didn't think the the Jacksonville Jaguars would be able to hang with these guys. They're kind of young and inexperienced with a young quarterback. I just didn't think that they'd be able to play with them for 4 quarters. At some point during the game, I thought that Kansas City would pull away. Only a touchdown lead, kind of scary there. Some of the things that happened in the game, Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things, running out, extending plays, hitting Travis Kelce and some of those other receivers, definitely get a touchdown. So, here we go. I think Kansas City is going to roll. And then somewhere along the line, right, he gets hurt. And he's limping pretty bad. This is Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's trying to hand the ball off, and you can just see that he's in a lot of pain, right? And he really just cannot get get going there. And finally, they pull him out. Seems like they're going to wrap him up, try to get him back into the game. He tried to come back still, hobbling pretty bad. Really, really, shouldn't be playing. They pull him back out. They're talking to him in the sideline. He goes out and they take him back to the locker room. Patrick Mahomes was very upset, but they took him back over into the locker room. So in comes the backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Chad Henning, and he's going over and he's going to start a drive in Kansas City. The crowd is loud. The noise is loud. The crowd's really getting into it. And, you know, um, this guy needs to get that drive, go about 98 yards, right? So he's got everybody backing him up, but could he really do it? Because when Patrick Mahomes went out, I thought this was the turning point. I said, man, if Patrick Mahomes can't come back, man, this is a great opportunity for the Jaguars to get that win, right? To really win this game. And so I thought, here we go, man. It's going to be either a 3-and-out, or he could possibly turn the ball over, worst case scenario, and this would put Jacksonville in a great opportunity, right? So I thought something like that might happen, but he, just drove him down. He was very good in that drive, very calm, just kind of staying with the game plan. I don't know if anything had changed, but he takes him all the way down the field, and they score a touchdown, right? And this is with the backup quarterback who's very experienced, has been in the NFL before, great backup quarterback. And I thought, okay, this is it. They scored a touchdown, man. I think Kansas City might be able to pull this out without Patrick Mahomes. At this point, we don't know if Mahomes is going to come back or not. But I think that drive with that backup quarterback, that line just took over, blocking. They were able to run the ball with those backs. I mean, they all just kind of took control of that drive. And I said, man, if Patrick Mahomes doesn't come back, I still think Casey's got a great chance. It's a great confidence builder for the backup quarterback, Heaney, right? That I can just take them down and score a 98, I believe, yard drive. So I think even though he can't come back, man, this Casey's got a good chance. And then of course Patrick Mahomes comes back in the second half, and he's not 100% right, but he was good enough to get the win. Where the Chiefs, like I said, take the win 27 to 20. If you kind of look at the stats here, Patrick Mahomes, he was 22 of 30 for 195 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. Pacheco, the running back, had 12 carries, 95 yards, almost broke the 100, man, but he just was really big on the ground for KC. Also, Travis Kelce had a big night, the tight end there for the Chiefs, 14 receptions, 98 yards, and he had the 2 TD. So you count on this guy, your veteran guy, right, to come up big when you need him. And boy, he was there for Patrick Mahomes. And so just like I said, they were able to run and pass somewhat. So I think when you look at that, that was helpful for the Chiefs. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence went 24 of 39, 217 yards, 1 TD, had the 1 interceptions. Travis Etienne Jr., 10 carries, 62 yards. Zay Jones, the receiver for the Jaguars, 5 receptions, 83 yards. So Jacksonville really didn't play bad, just didn't make enough plays to win this game. But I think if you're Jacksonville, right, you've got to be, if you're a fan of Jacksonville, you got to feel really, really good about where this team is going. A year ago, man, they were just dismal. They had a coach that there was just a lot of negative things coming out of Jacksonville last year during the football season, to hire Doug Peterson, a winning Super Bowl coach, right? A guy that knows how to win, and come in and in 1 year take this young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and to be able to fight back. They started off really slow and then getting it together and winning a few games here toward the end, a couple more than a few games, getting yourself in a position to get in the playoffs, win your first playoff game, and then really compete against one of the powerhouses in the AFC, and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you got to really feel good about what you did this year, even though you didn't win the game. And I think next year for this team, man, it's going to be really, really good. They're going to be contending for that division title, obviously. And I think they'll get back into the playoffs, and I think they'll make even a deeper playoff with this young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. So the future looks bright, obviously, for the Jaguars. The Chiefs, they'll do get the win, and they will advance to the next round. So congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, what reports I read, the high ankle sprain, it is but it's not as bad as maybe a high ankle a sprain would be. So even though I don't think if he plays, he'll be 100%, I think he might be a little bit better. Reports that I read today, and this was earlier on before lunchtime, right? Things might have changed now, but last thing I read was that he may play. That decision I don't think had been made when I read the report. Will he play? Will he not play? I'm assuming that they'll wait till maybe Thursday or Friday, and they're going to give it all week to do what they need to do, and then they'll make that decision, that final decision. My guess is that he'll play if he can, but how good will he be? I know he won't be 100%, but he may be able to throw, but that running that he does and extend those plays, that if he plays and if he can't do that, that definitely is going to be a plus for that Cincinnati Bengals defense, and I think it could hurt the Chiefs. So they still got the rest of the week. We'll see if Mahomes will play in this game, and if he does, we'll see game time when the game starts. And we'll see just how well he can play. But they'll need him to be Patrick Mahomes, I think, to beat a good Cincinnati team when they play next week. Because you're right. Now we'll go into the Sunday game, the AFC. You had the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Buffalo Bills. I came out on the podcast and I said that, Buffalo, first of all, I had Buffalo at the beginning of the season. I had this team going to the Super Bowl. I had the Buffalo Bills representing the Bills were going to be representing the AFC. So I stuck with them through the season. I was kind of worried in some of the games. Josh Allen turning the ball over quite a bit this year. Von Miller, when he went out, I thought was really going to affect that defense because Von does so much. You have to really pay attention if you're the opposite team, the offense. You really got to pay attention to where Von Miller is. Without Von Miller, I don't think some of the other guys can do the things that they do. So I thought that defense, as good as it is, was going to struggle without Von Miller, and sure enough, that was the case. But I thought that the Bills were really going to have some trouble with the Bengals, even though I picked the Bills. I thought the Bengals had a good chance to come in here and win this game, and they do 27-10. They struggled. Buffalo really couldn't get nothing going on offense. I mean, both of these teams are accustomed to playing in bad weather. The snow was really bad out there, but Cincinnati just able to do more. They were just able to run the ball, and then Joe Burrow's got those targets out there. And the one thing I'll say about Burrow is that, man, he is a beast. He is just a football player. I mean, the guy just has great instincts for the game of football. I loved watching this guy play in college. I enjoy watching him play in the NFL. His third year, and this guy potentially could be going to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. Man, just an amazing young man to watch play football. And really with a few of his linemen out. Injured, going into a pretty tough place to play in Buffalo, and Buffalo being pretty good. I mean, to be able to put on a performance like he did, it's just amazing, right? I mean, we go to his stats here, and we'll start off first with Burrow. He was 23 of 36, 242 yards. He had 2 TDs. He had no interceptions. Again, I talked about the run game. Cincinnati able to run the game, which I think was very effective. It opened up other stuff in the passing game for the Bengals. Joe Mixon, 20 carries. He broke the 100 at 105 yards. He had 1 TD. And then, of course, Jamar Chase. He only had 5 receptions, 61 yards, but he did have that 1 TD. And then T. Higgins, the other big guy, the other main target that they had, 3 receptions, 28 yards. And I think in weather like this, where you have to throw the ball, and when you're playing in this type of weather in the snow, I think the running game, if you can run, is an advantage to a team. Obviously, Cincinnati did a better job of it in this game. And so again, Cincinnati will advance. Like I said, man, Joe Burrow. I think I'm going to be going Cincinnati now that Buffalo's out. Out of the 4 teams that remain, I would really like to see Joe Burrow win definitely a Super Bowl. Like I said, man, I like this kid. I like the way he plays ball. To me, he's just a football player. If we turn over to Buffalo and we go to Josh Allen, and he was 25 of 42, 265 yards. He did have that one interception, but when we look at his, and he kind of ran the ball, he was the leading rusher in this game. He had 8 carries, 26 yards. He had that one TD. Nothing surprising here. Josh Allen, he's kind of built like a linebacker, like a running back, right? But he's a quarterback. But outside of him in the run game was really non-existent for the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, if you look at the passing yards, Dawson Knox, 5 receptions, 65 yards. But the big guys, Stephon Diggs, 4 catches, 35 yards. That just was not going to be enough for Buffalo to win this game. They needed bigger plays from these guys in the passing game, and they just didn't get that. Even though quite a few people touched the ball, Gabe Davis, two carries, 34 yards. Cole Beasley, Gabe Davis had 2 catches, 34 yards. Cole Beasley had 3 catches, 33 yards. Even though these guys kind of spread the ball around, there was no one that really stands out and did enough for these guys to win, and that's why they lost this game 27-10. So again, I think it's a disappointing season for Buffalo. Expectations were really high. This team was one game away from getting to the Super Bowl last year. They kind of regressed a little bit, not winning this game, being knocked out in the divisional round. So definitely they've got to really take a look. I don't know if they'll make some moves, but obviously, if you're Buffalo, you're still a great offensive team. You're still a great football team. But if you look at the other teams that are in the AFC with what they've got coming, man, it just does not get any easier for you to get to the Super. In other words, I'm saying the road to the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills and the other teams will not get any easier when you've got a guy like Trevor Lawrence and those Jacksonville Jaguars coming up, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. You've got Patrick Mahomes and KC. You've got Justin Herbert out there who will probably get better. And then we'll see what happens and what other teams like the Raiders and these other teams, what kind of moves will they make. Miami, definitely, I think, is also another team that is going to be a powerhouse when they get healthy next year. So I just think that the road for Buffalo, the expectations for this team is high. People expect this team to be in the Super Bowl. They're good enough to get there. And I just think they're going to have to make some moves or something because currently the way they played this year, they're just not going to get there. And so I just think it's going to get tougher in the AFC. So we'll see what kind of moves Buffalo makes, if any. I'm sure they'll have to. But definitely, I believe this was not a great. I mean, they had a so and so season. I mean, the record's great, but for a team like Buffalo, these guys are. It's all about Super Bowl. And if you don't get there, then it wasn't the kind of season you thought it would be, right? And so again, they take the loss, and we'll see what happens next year for the Buffalo Bills. And we'll move on to the NFC now, and we'll talk a little bit about the Saturday game. We had the New York Giants going into Philadelphia to play the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurt had been hurt the last couple of games. He came in last regular season game. Didn't look like Jalen Hurts. So there was a lot of questions. Would he have some rust in him? Is he 100%? How will he play? I thought the Giants. I mean, I picked Philadelphia to win because I just thought that playing at home and just the way they played all year, I thought that they would win this game. But I got to tell you, man, I thought the Giants. I said this is going to be a close game, and if Daniel Jones plays the way I saw him play in the wild card round, if they can run the ball, Philadelphia better be careful here because obviously, I think that the Giants could pull an upset and beat the Eagles. That was not the case. Philadelphia rolled from the start to the end. They just blew the Giants out 38-7. Just The Giants just didn't come to play. They just got punched in the mouth, I guess is the best way to say it, right off the start of the fight, right? The game. I mean, they just got punched hard in the mouth, and they just never recovered from that. And Philadelphia was just rolling. And the Eagles take the win 38-7, and they will now play in the NFC Championship game. Let's go with the stats here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, 16 of 24, 154 yards. Not a big passing game for Hurts, but he did have the 2 TDs. He also ran the ball 9 times, 34 yards. So Jalen Hurts was not accustomed. He wasn't the Jalen Hurts that we're accustomed to seeing. But his boys did the rest. Kenneth Gainwell had 12 carries, 112 yards. Miles Sanders had 17 carries, 90 yards. So on the ground game for Philadelphia, they basically did whatever the heck they wanted to do. Devontae Smith had 6 receptions, 61 yards. He had the one TD. And that's really about it. Nothing else stands out here as far as the stats, but they were just rolling. And I got to tell you, man, I don't like the Eagles nor the Giants. Neither one of them are a team that I root for. But the Eagles just really look like they're rolling, man. They really look strong in this game. They look like they were hitting on all cylinders. And if they come out and play like that next week, oh my goodness, man, this team might definitely go to the Super Bowl because they are definitely playing great football right now. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to play better next week than he did this week. And if he does, that's scary for the team that they're going to be playing. But again, I just you look at what they've done, and they were just great. If you look at the Giants here, Daniel Jones, um, he was. Let's see. Let me look at the stats here. Yes, Daniel Jones. Okay, here we go. He was 15 of 27, 135 yards. He had the one interception. He also had 6 carries, 24 yards. So he's really ineffective in this game. The run game, Barkley had 9 carries, 61 yards. It really stands out to me. Nothing in the passing. So they really couldn't get much done. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. Jones was really ineffective. He had pretty much pressure on him the whole game. Just a disaster of a game here for the Giants. As like I said, the best way I can put it is they got punched in the mouth early on, and they just never fully recovered from that punch, and it just continued to get worse for them as the game went on. If you look at the Giants, though, I think for Coach the Ball, I think it was a great season. I mean, no one really expected them to be in the playoffs. So just the way they finished the regular season, getting themselves into the playoffs was huge for the Giants. And then, of course, winning that wild card game, I think that's a lot of stuff that they can look back on. Even though I think they're going to be disappointed in this game, the way they played. Obviously, if they go back and reflect and think of the whole season and the way they played, I think it was a successful season, I would have to say. And I think this team, they'll look to get better, and this team will be competitive next year again. With a tough NFC East, you got the Dallas Cowboys there. I expect them to be back again, competing for the division title. You'll have the New York Giants. They'll be there. Philadelphia definitely going to be tough. And then we'll see what Washington. They had a couple of injuries. I think if they can really get that quarterback situation taken care of for next year, that defense is really solid for the Commanders. So all four of these teams are gonna, they play each other twice a year, right? So they're gonna be beating up on each other. So it's gonna be very interesting, a lot of fun to watch next year. So if I'm the Giants and I'm a Giant fan, I definitely don't like getting beat 38-7 and the performance that my team put out there. But on the flip side of things, I think it was a successful season. A lot that this team can build on, Coach the Ball can build on, and this team again, I think will be very competitive next year. For the Eagles, shoot, they're rolling, baby. They're rolling. That's a scary team to play right now. And if they play, like I said, next week, the way I saw them play this weekend, I think that team's going to the Super Bowl, man. And the main thing is Jalen Hurts. He looked really healthy. He didn't look like he was bothered by any type of injury. I think the injury that he had, he seems to be 100%. And I think he's going to be a lot better and doing more things this upcoming weekend than what we saw this past weekend. So definitely Philadelphia to me are looking pretty dangerous. So we'll see how things work out. And what team will they play? Well, they're going to be playing the San Francisco 49ers because my Cowboys went into San Francisco and they took the loss 19-12. I've got to be honest with you. I thought that the scoring was going to be a little bit higher than this. I did not see this coming for San Francisco. I said on my podcast, we've got to take something away. Dan Quinn will have to take something away. This is a team that is complete. They can run. and they can pass. And I said, we saw what they did to Seattle, they were able to run and they were able to pass. And Purdy got into a rhythm. And if they're passing and they're running, you're not going to beat the San Francisco 49ers. So for me, I thought Dan Quinn was going to have to take something away, whether it be the run or the pass. Definitely, he took the run from them. If you kind of look, they've got weapons. George Kittle, Debo Samuel. They've got Christian McCaffrey, who came over mid-season. So they just had weapons. How would Dallas's defense try to slow this team down? Because I felt like they just got to slow them down and give our offense a chance. Well, Dan Quinn came up with a great game plan. If you saw the game, or if you see in the box scores, the results, man. I mean, he took there were Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, two of the three that they have there. They can really hurt you. We're really not non-effective. I mean, they had a couple of good runs here, but nothing that would hurt this team or not give us a chance to win. So I think Dan Quinn did a great job on both of those guys. When they went out for passes, they were double covered. They knew exactly where they were at. Dan Quinn was going to make somebody else beat you, right? George Kittle had a big game. He had about 95 yards. I'll tell you how many catches he had, but he was about the only one. And so if you would have told me before the game started that, hey, look, San Francisco's only going to score 19 points, I'm telling you, then I tell you, man, Cowboys, man, we're going to the next round, right? Because obviously with our offense, I think we can score more than 19. That was not the case offensively. They struggled. One thing is, Pollard got hurt in the first half, and this is the running back. And I'm not going to make any excuses for the Cowboys. We got beat, and that's it. But definitely, I think when Pollard went out, it takes away a little bit from the offense because this is the one guy that's very explosive. He's very elusive, and they depend on him to do a couple of things there for us. He can run. The ball, obviously, he's got the speed, and then I think he's a nightmare for those linebackers having to cover him. There's a lot of mismatches. Dallas, when he's on that field, I think can utilize him multiple ways, and I think that the defense for San Francisco, man. I mean, you got to be aware of where Pollard is. It opens up things for Dalton Schultz. I mean, if you got a Pollard and you got a CD Lamb and you got a Schultz, it puts a lot of pressure on that defense, right? Just helps that Cowboy offense. So I thought, offensively, we would score more than 12 points, but that wasn't the case. Dak Prescott, he was 23 of 37, 206 yards. He had one TD, but he had those two interceptions that were killers that turned into 6 points for the San Francisco 49ers. Ezekiel Elliott, 10 carries, 26 yards. That's just not going to do it, man. And our run game was non-existent. And I felt that was something that we had to do. We didn't have to be big in it and get chunks of yards, but we could continue to keep drives alive, get 3 or 4 yards with Pollard and Zeke. I thought that would help out the passing. But once Pollard went out, pretty much our run game was non-existent. So, and I kind of felt like once he got hurt, that's it. We're going to have to depend on Dak in that passing game to get past the 49ers. CD Lamb had a big game for the Dallas Cowboys, 10 receptions, 117 yards. I mean, this guy was doing it all out there, trying to put the whole team on his shoulders and try to get the win. But outside of CD, nobody else did anything. Schultz had 27 yards on 5 carries. Brown, 21 yards on 2 carries. Hilton had 15 yards on one. I'm sorry, they're not carries, their passes. Dalton Schultz, 5 receptions, 27 yards. Noah Brown, 2 receptions, 21 yards. Ty Hilton, 1 reception, 15 yards. Tony Pollard did have 2 catches, 11 yards. And then Michael Gallup, he didn't even get a catch in this game with the receivers that you have on this team. You've got to be better than that. You just got to be better than that, right? CD was a big guy, but he needs some help out there. So if you're not going to be able to run the ball, then you got to be able to pass. And we just didn't get it done. 12 points is just I'll use Jerry Jones words. He said it's sickening. And yeah, it is sickening because I thought that the Cowboy defense played great, shutting down a high power offense like that can score multiple ways. The game's there for you to take, right? Like it's there for you to take. And Dak Prescott had been throwing a lot of interceptions. And again, he threw two, and I think he could have had a total of four because really there were two other bad passes I think that he threw that could have been picked off, but they were dropped by the San Francisco defenders. So if they catch those, it's a total of four, right? So again, you got to be better in these games to be able to win, and he wasn't. And I've had a lot of talk today about the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott. To me, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it's not factual. It's just what I think when I see him play. He just, I think, consistently can't put a 3-4 game winning streak, right? He'll play good for 2 weeks, and then that third week that's coming, it's going to be bad. Or he'll play one a good game, two bad games that follow. One bad game and then two games that follow. So what I'm saying is consistently he can't put 4 games or so or 5 games of just playing great football. And to ever get to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, you're going to have to put maybe 4 games or so of good football to play. And even when you don't play great, you got to be able to do enough to win the game. I mean, I think if you saw Brock Purdy, he wasn't spectacular like we have seen. The Cowboy defense have pretty much shut him down, and they were pressuring him pretty much the whole game, right? They were making him run and throw that ball away, got a couple of sacks. But the one thing that Brock Purdy did not do was turn the ball over. He did not fumble the ball. He did not throw an interception, and that's the difference, and that's why they win 19-12. And I think Dak's got to be a lot better than that. I mean, this is what you get paid for, and I'm beginning to think that I don't know if Dak's the guy that can take my Cowboys to the Super Bowl. I mean, it just doesn't seem that way now. He's going in, I believe, like on his 8th year or so in the league. He's played 7. If you look at his stats, he threw more interceptions in this one season than he had in his first 6. So he's regressed a little bit. So I think you got to figure out why that happened to him. Obviously, he continued to throw those turnovers game after game after game. Nothing changed. Yesterday, and we've seen this type of performance from Dak all season. So they were unable to fix it. He was unable to fix it. The coaches couldn't fix it, and you're seeing an interception pretty much in every game or so. And this is what ended up hurting him ultimately against Tampa. He didn't throw one, but like I said, he'll play one good game, and then you almost know that the next game it's not going to be as good. So you're looking for this quarterback to be able to put a consistent amount of games together and get on some type of win streak, right? And right now we're looking for maybe 4 games, 5, and that just hasn't happened where he's playing great, right? Sometimes the receivers don't get open, but ultimately you're the quarterback. You're the foundation of the whole team, right? That ball, you touch that ball every play that you're on there. So you're making the decisions whether you're throwing it or handing the ball off or you're running the ball. Those are your decisions. You're making those audibles. You got to be better, right? You just got to be better. And I've seen him play now for a few years. And my thought is, I don't think we're going to get to the Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as our quarterback. I'm just looking at this young kid here, this young cat uh, as what we need him to do. Right? It's great that we went 12 and whatever 5, whatever it was. It was really nice that we won that first round, but Jerry's come out before. It's all about trying to get to a Super Bowl and win another one. And we're still not close to that. And with other teams like Philadelphia just becoming stronger, and I think this is a great opportunity because if you saw Green Bay, they weren't really effective. This is a great opportunity for Dallas to be able to get to the Super Bowl. I think we have the team to get there, but obviously our quarterback's got to play a lot better. So as I'll say this, that loss to me, I'm going to put that on Dak Prescott. You look at if he hits some of these guys in stride, if some of these guys that are running have to turn back to try to catch that ball, the ball's a little high, it's a little low, it's behind them. I mean, sometimes they make these catches, but he's got to be able to throw and hit them right in the numbers. When you can do that, good things happen, and that may be the difference between a touchdown and a tackle, right? And then Turpin, I thought when he kicked off the ball, special teams, and he ran it all the way back, it looked to me that he had an opening to the outside. If he just takes it to the outside, it looks like he might score because I don't think they'll be able to catch him. with his speed, but he goes straight into where the guys, the tacklers were, right. He looked like he had a block, and he gets tackled. And if that is the case, and he could have gone to the outside, that's the difference possibly between a touchdown and getting a tackle, than possibly going 3 points, or possibly getting nothing at all. So just a lot of things that I think the Cowboys left out on the field, but ultimately it's Dak Prescott, and he's just got to be better, and you've got to be able to not turn that ball over, and put us in a position to win. I mean, you're getting paid, like I said, once again, big time money. You signed the contract. There's a little over 2 minutes left. You got to take us down to score a touchdown to tie it. And what we saw from Dak Prescott were 3 and out. Didn't even get a first down. So you just got to be better than that. And until he gets there and he fixes this problem, the Cowboys are probably going to be mediocre. And I hate to say that because I'm a Cowboys fan, and I want to win another Super Bowl, right? But I'm going to be a Cowboys fan no matter what. But I'm going to be real, and these are just they're not factual. They're just my opinions. But this is what I see from the team. I just a little disappointed because we're better than what we played. We're better than 12 points, and I think that when the defense comes out and plays that way, and we're only able to put 12, I think we lost a golden opportunity to beat a really good San Francisco team at their house and be going into the next round. Moving forward, what will Jerry Jones do with the coaches? Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn. My opinion is that I do not think that I'd be surprised if he fires Mike McCarthy. Jerry's come out and said he supports him, but Jerry can say that on Monday and then fire him on Tuesday. I mean, that's just the way the NBA works, right? But really don't think that it's in the best interest to fire McCarthy, unless he's got like a Sean Payton, waiting already. If the decision's been made for Sean Payton to come in, then I guess he will let him go. But I think McCarthy was not the problem in this game. I thought he did pretty good his first year in that COVID season. He was really, really bad. They brought Dan Quinn in. They made a lot of changes for the good. They got into the playoffs last year, lost in the first round, got into the playoffs again, won the first round, getting into the second round. So I think you may want to just keep McCarthy in there, give him an extension, see if he can continue to build on that. But if the decision is going to be made, in my opinion, to keep McCarthy, then I think you got to keep both coordinators. I think you got to keep everything the way it is. You got to keep Kellen Moore there and Dan Quinn. I think Kellen Moore will not go anywhere. I know people are wanting to interview him for the a head coaching job, but I think he'll be in Dallas should Jerry choose to keep him there at least one more year. Dan Quinn would be my concern because I think he's just a hot ticket right now. There's some teams that I think are really going to push for Dan Quinn, especially when they see what he did to in this last game with the 49ers defensively. I think you're going to get some of those owners that are looking for a coach, and they're really going to push to get Dan Quinn in there. So Jerry Jones, I think, needs to figure out a way to keep Dan Quinn. I think if in my opinion, you lose Dan Quinn, boy, I think our defense is going to suffer, and that's really our bright spot. So I think you need to keep Dan Quinn in Dallas somehow. I know that he got a raise last year. You might have to up that pay a little bit more, Jerry, if you want to keep him. But Dan Quinn would be worth that money, I believe. And then you just got to see where Dan Quinn's mind is. Is he happy in Dallas? Is he happy with this defense? If he gets another raise, a good hefty raise, I think he'll probably stay and continue to be the coach or defensive coordinator. But again, it's just a matter where Dan Quinn is. Does he want to be a head coach? How bad does he want to be a head coach? It's really all in him. If he really wants to be a head coach and kind of run and get back to being a head coach again, then he's definitely going to have an opportunity, and he's going to leave no matter what. But if he isn't really big on that head coaching job, if he likes where he's at, and listen, you're getting paid a lot of money, and you just the defensive coordinator, why not, right? So I think it all depends on where Dan Quinn's mind is, and does he want to be a head coach or not? If he does, he'll definitely have the opportunity, and he'll be leaving Dallas. If he doesn't, Jerry makes it worth his while to stay. Then I think we'll see Dan Quinn back next year, and I think that's the main person that you have to keep on this coaching staff. You want to continue to have him build this defense. Remember, the Cowboys had some injuries in that secondary, so we played pretty good with our backup. So when these guys come back next year, I think this defense will be a lot better. Micah Parsons again will be a lot better than he was this year, and with Dan Quinn calling the plays, man, I think we're going to be in good shape. Offensively is where we need to get better. We got to figure out what happened to Dak Prescott this year. He's got to play better next year. And then there's some decisions to be made, whether Pollard or Zeke. They got to figure that out. Our line's getting a little old, although they held up pretty good. They are old. They're going to have to go down there and try to see what we can do. There were some injuries to that line as well. And maybe get another wide receiver, number one. CD Lamb is really good, but he's not really a big receiver. I think we need Hilton was good, but I don't know if he'll be good for us the whole year. He is a little up there in age. You need to get somebody like a Metcalf from Seattle. You need a big time wide receiver that can really spread the floor, the field, and then let CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz do their work with Tony Pollard. Hopefully Pollard will be back, but I do think they need another receiver, another big time receiver, a big body out there with some speed that can really spread the field. But again, a lot of questions for Jerry in the next couple of days, weeks. Maybe we'll find out if McCarthy comes back. Who knows? Jerry just may have something already up his sleeve. But everything I heard from Jerry today made me believe that Mike McCarthy will be back. And like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world because I think McCarthy's done a pretty decent job with Dallas in terms of getting us to the playoffs. I think he's earned the right to at least another year to see if he can continue to build what he's built so far, and see if he can actually take us down there. But they'll have some work to do with the quarterback offensively. And I think, like I said, they've got to keep both coordinators. If that's the route he's going to take, then I think Kellen Moore needs to come back. Dan Quinn needs to come back. We'll see what happens with football and Jerry, and see what Jerry does. But it's going to be very interesting. A little disappointed, but I'll get over it, and I'll be ready for next year when the football season starts again. But tune in, like I said, to the Universal Sports Podcast Daily, because I'll be letting you guys know as I hear the news and you guys hear the news. I'll be coming on and giving you guys my point of view on what I think. And again, you can kind of let me know what you're thinking. This video will be uploaded to our Universal Sports YouTube channel, and then it'll also be on our Universal Sports Facebook and Twitter page. So wherever you see it, you can definitely comment and let me know what you're thinking, man. I'll respond right back. Tell me if you agree with me or you disagree with me, man. I like to talk to you guys about sports. And then, of course, we'll finish it off here with the UFC 283, getting myself right back into the UFC, man. Some of this stuff was really good. I'm a big fan of Brandon Moreno, man. I love this kid. He's just, I think he can really throw it down. But I'm just going to kind of go over the main card. I don't go over the prelims. I just kind of hit the main card. And you had Paul Craig, 16-6-1, taking on Johnny Walker. Walker gets the win, TKO. First round, 216. Made some quick work of Paul Craig. And then the women, that was the light heavyweight. In the women's flyweight, Lauren Murphy, 16-6, taking on Jessica Andrade at 24-9. Jessica Andrade gets the win, a decision. Obviously, she'll get the win. And then in the welterweight division, you had Gilbert Burns at 21-5, taking on Neil Magny, 27-11. Submission in the first round. Gilbert Burns gets the win. And then, of course, we had the co-main event and the main event of UFC 283. And this is the fight that I was really paying a lot of attention to. It was the flyweight. Yeah, Deiveson, I hope I'm saying his name right. Figueiredo taking on, and he was 21-3-1. So this is a dog, man. This is a guy that can really throw it down. He was taking on Brandon Moreno at 21-6-2. This was not the first time these guys had fought. They have thrown some blows, but I think this would be the last one. This was the last one of this fight. I think it was the fourth fight, if I read correctly. Brandon gets the win in a TKO in the third round. Those Brazilians fans were really, really after him. He had to be ushered out and kind of covered up. The fans kind of really got onto him. So if you saw the video, they were kind of rushing him out, trying to get him back out to the backstage before they didn't want him to get hurt or have something thrown on him that could hurt. But he definitely gets the win. And I think we got to behave a lot better than that. But obviously, they didn't like Brandon Moreno. But this guy comes out with the win. We'll see what's next for Brandon. Like I said, I love this kid, man. I think he's going to be really good in the UFC, man. He fights with a lot of heart. So I'll definitely be paying attention to Brandon Moreno and see what's up next for him. And then, of course, you had the light heavyweight, the main event card. You had Glover Teixeira. He was 33-9, a little older, taking on a really young dude in Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill just had 12 fights, 13 fights actually. It was 12-1. So the experience definitely went to Glover, right? Jamahal, not experienced, but a young gun, man, that could really throw it down. So who would win, you know? And Jamahal Hill gets that win in a decision. But boy, did he put the beating up on Glover, man. Because after that fight, he just did not look, he just looked beat up, didn't he? So much so that he retired. I read right after the fight. Didn't have to take a couple of days to say, "Man, I'm done with this." We'll find out if that's the actual truth, or did he retire off of emotions? Because when you lose a fight like that, and when you know when you lose it in the manner that he did, even though it was a decision, really Jamal Hill had this fight in control pretty much the whole time. Glover really didn't get anything going offensively. It was just a beatdown, in my opinion. So, will he take some time? Will we see him again, or is this retirement? Actually, man, I'm done. I'm not coming back. I don't know, but a great win for Jamal Hill. This guy, yeah, at now 13 wins and one loss. Future looks bright. We'll see who's up next for him. So again, you can catch a lot of this UFC stuff. We read up with it, and we'll be talking about it here on the UFC. I'm sorry, the Universal Sports Podcast. It'll be daily. Every day I'll come in. Sometimes it'll be in the afternoon, maybe in the evening, but it's all audio. And so I'll just when I'm done, I'll upload it to the Universal Sports YouTube channel where you can catch it there. If you do catch it there, please, if you like it, be a subscriber to the Universal Sports Podcast, and then it will be shared over to the Universal Sports Facebook and Twitter page. And you can also, wherever you catch it, comment, let me know what you think about the podcast. Let me know if you agree with some of the stuff that we're talking about. If not, definitely let me know why. And I'd definitely like to get into conversation with you. You can also catch these podcasts on Anchor and Spotify as well. So you can be commuting to work, coming back from work, man. If you don't feel like jamming out to the music, put it on Spotify and Anchor. It's GT Sports. You'll see a little football, just GT Sports. And hit all of my podcasts will be there, and you just pick one and catch it and check it out and hear what I've got to say. So you can catch it on both of those platforms, Anchor, Spotify. Or you can go to the Twitter and Facebook page or the YouTube page for Universal Sports. So again, I'll be coming on every day. Don't forget, I also have on my GT Sports poll. I put up a whole bunch of stuff from football to baseball to college, professional, high school stuff. You can check it daily. There's a lot of stuff in there. If you see your team in there, or a team you like, please vote. Let me know what you're thinking. Put a comment down. If you want, I'll respond to those comments. And on that GT Sports Poll Facebook page, I have a audio channel that is called Real Sports Fans, where we talk sports 24/7, right? So I come in today, this evening. I'll have it off for a while because I do got to jump on another podcast here about 6:30. But once I get off, I'll put it back on. Usually it'll be on from 5 to 9 while I'm doing work here in the office, and people can just chime in. And I'll let you in. I'll let you join the conversation and just let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll throw as much input as I can. Or you might be able to connect and talk to somebody else that's also in the group at that time. So I kind of just put it on from 5 to 9. Sometimes if I'm off, I'll put it on all day. I have a device. I'm in the car. I can put it on. People can jump in and out. You'll get notified when I'm on because I'll send the link over to the GT Sports Poll Facebook page. And when you catch it, I'll have the date on there. You'll know when I'm on. Just click on the link, man, and join in and enjoy the conversation. We just talk purely sports. That's it. So if you want to talk about sports, that's the place for you. If not, find another platform. But like I said again, check out the Universal Sports Podcast. Until then, man, thank you very much for taking a listen. If you like it, also don't forget to share it. Please share it so we can get it around to other people. Definitely would like to get other people's input. And I want to hear what you guys think about what we're talking about for that day. So until tomorrow evening, when I'll come back again and do another short podcast, just tune in to the Universal Sports Facebook and Twitter page, and I'll let you know what type of things we'll be talking about, what the topic will be for tomorrow evening's Universal podcast. Until then, man, my name is Gabriel Trevino. Have a good evening, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow afternoon, evening.